The rights of LGBTQ communities have been through challenges. As of 2022, 7.2% of the population has come out as. In 1937, the KKK actually raided a bar, an LGBTQ bar, a gay bar, and that targeted a lot of anger towards the community.
1950, the U.S. Congress issues a report titled Employment of Homosexuals and Other Sex Perverts in Government. It distributed members of Congress after the federal government who had covertly investigated employees' sexual orientation. The report had stated that since homosexuality was a mental illness, homosexuals constitute security risks to the nation. 1952, the American Psychiatric Association Diagnostic Manual lists homosexuality as a sociopathic personality disorder.
The Stonewall riots of 1969 was a major turning point for the LGBTQ rights movement. After police had raided Stonewall Inn, a popular gay bar, the patrons of the bar fought back against the police. This had sparked a series of protests and demonstrations. Gay Liberation Front organization formed in New York followed the Stonewall riots to advocate for sexual liberation for all people, which in all honesty was fair.
While some criticized the violent and destructive riots, others pointed to the brutality and unjust treatment of the gay community. This large-scale defiance made a massive impact on society. The Stonewall riots were the beginning of the modern gay liberation movement, which also brought attention to others marginalized for their sexual or gender orientation. The riots sparked the formation of the Gay Liberation Front, the first group to publicly advocate for equal gay rights. On the one-year anniversary of the riots, they also organized the first Gay Pride Parade. Today, Pride events are still held on the anniversary of the Stonewall riots in cities around the country and even the world. In 2016, President Obama made the Stonewall Inn and the area outside where the riots broke out a national monument. This became the first national monument celebrating gay history. The Stonewall riots may have been violent, but they marked a pivotal moment in history. No longer would people quietly endure the stigma associated with their sexual and gender orientations. Through the Stonewall riots, the gay rights movement gained mainstream visibility and a momentum that continues to this day.
Cincinnati, Ohio. I've lived in Ohio for most of my life. My late husband John and I were together for almost 21 years before he passed away as a result of the complications of ALS. I'm here today in front of our nation's highest court because my home state fought the recognition of my marriage to John.
In 2015, the Obergefell versus Hodges Supreme Court decision, the court had voted 5-4 that the fundamental right to marry is guaranteed to same-sex couples, both actually by the Due Process Clause and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. This decision mandated that states must allow same-sex couples to legally marry. Between the times of 1923 and 1981, the state of Oregon had people who committed crimes against nature, a way it was described of same-sex sexual activity, sterilized without their consent. Employers with 15 or more employees were prohibited to the Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act from discriminating on the basis of sex. Marriage bans had actually prevented many LGBTQ plus members from having the same rights as straight married couples, such as job protection while caring for a sick spouse and the ability to add spouses to employer-sponsored health insurance plans. Some of the most challenging issues facing the LGBTQ plus communities even now are finding or building a supportive community, the coming out process, understanding your identity, worrying about others' reactions of coming out, tension in family relationships, and more. Oftentimes, unhealthy coping strategies can be developed as well from these acts of injustice. Many LGBTQ members were actually persecuted and killed under ISIS as a hate crime. And some people even did interviews and talked about what happened within those few years. Hate groups and war crimes continue to go on today, but it is legal at this point, and it is not considered a mental health problem. There are some groups, though, still that do consider it a mental health problem, though. Until 2015, when the Supreme Court ruling that states were not required to recognize marriages between same-sex couples. Many states had denied same-sex couples the right to marry still, though. Marriage bans caused stigma, and it made same-sex couples less equal in the lies to the law, adding stress to the already chronic problem. As of 2023, we now live in a society where same-sex couples are mostly accepted. There are still hate groups, there are still people that don't support it, and that's fine. Your opinion is your opinion. There are always going to be groups that don't support what you believe in. There are always going to be violence and uprising. And the LGBTQ community has made a major advancement in their acceptance and in getting accepted by society. But there will always be those people and those challenges.